What do you want to be remembered by? If you'd have asked me this question a few years, maybe even a few months ago, I'd have given you a typical, wildly ambitious answer. I want to be the next Steve Jobs, or I want to solve the cure for cancer. For the last few years, my answers have varied, but they followed the same generic pattern. I've always wanted to do something that would outlast the flow of time. Now, my next question is the how. What do I have to do to get up there? If my story ended today, there's not a great chance that those in distant continents would remember the name Yash Narain. Surely I'd have to do something, get somewhere, follow that upward curve that everyone is so focused on to get to where I want to be. Greatness lies at the top of my mountain, but its peak should surely yield the outcome I was looking for. And then I stopped and wondered, would it? How many of you can confidently tell me who invented the first smartphone? What about the first wheel? Two of the most important inventions in the modern world, and yet no one remembers who made them. On the other hand, there are those with legacies that are so evil, they are forever inscribed into the stone of time. See, the difference between the words famous and infamous are only 2 letters, and yet both will leave a legacy great enough to be remembered for generations beyond. So, as students, on the brink of defining our own legacy, should we pursue something that could so easily slip into something so much more sinister? Or should we disregard it, render it useless? See, the word legacy as we know it is actually broken down into 2 parts: the way we are remembered and the impact that we leave. The former is a story of how those that knew us will immortalize us in their memories, whereas the latter is the consequences of our actions that we took to change the world. Naturally, we tend to intertwine the two, thinking that without the more physical legacy, we can't really make that change, when in reality, the two are as far apart as they can be. Take climate change. Most think that individually, it's impossible to leave a large enough singular impact. We're only teenagers. Most of us don't have our own car, and we don't really have much of a say on how we govern our life. Yet, the average passenger vehicle emits about 4.5 tons of CO2 a year, or 12 kilograms a day. That means if you or I decided to walk to school every Wednesday instead of taking the car, we would save enough CO2 at the same amount as a flight to Spain. If we all did it together, we would save enough CO2 to fill up this entire hall, as well as the Shirley Hall down the corridor. But take politics. Annually, over 160 petitions made by the common man are discussed in Parliament and considered into introduction into law. Most notably, the petition in 2015 for Syrian refugees was so great that the then Prime Minister called an emergency debate and introduced support for 20,000 more people, as well as injecting a further £100 million into his support scheme. It doesn't matter that we're only kids. It could have been you or I that wrote that petition. But perhaps the most important of them all, the most inconspicuous, is acts of compassion for goodwill's sake. The concept of bystander apathy, coined by psychologists John Darley and Bibb Latané, states that the average person has no interest or intention in getting involved in helping others around them, whether this be due to embarrassment, or just an unwillingness to be the first one to do anything. Yet there is nothing shameful in helping others. In fact, it's one of the most selfish things you can do. The reward you will get will be in 2 parts. The first, in the gratitude you receive in that one moment, but also the second, the ripple effect. It takes one good action to cause other bystanders to break that stereotype and engage in similar pro-social actions. See, despite the enormous impact these have, there's not a great chance it will impact the way that you will be remembered. There are no awards for walking to school every Wednesday, but the change it leaves is too great to be ignored. So, if remembrance is what lies at the top of your mountain, then this might not be the path for you to follow. But if it's making a change, leaving an impact, then you hold the keys to doing something truly special. See, our legacy is useless because the only thing that matters is the impact that we leave in the world around us. I leave you with a quote with one of the greatest cricketers of all time, Sachin Tendulkar, as he looks back on his childhood. He said, "Chasing your dreams is about more than becoming a great human being. It's about being a good one." Thank you.